Man, as coach, you look at him as dad. Do it look like his son supposed to be taking your dad? I don't even feel right. Y'all hear this time? Oh, Tank don't pay his coach.
Hey, come on now.
Coach Barry Hunter trained Tank for this fight with Lamont Roach, not Calvin Ford. A lot of people were saying that this performance has something to do with that. So, is something really going on between Calvin Ford and Tank Davis? Check out what Tank had to say.
Tank Davis is now facing the fight of his life, but this time it's not in the boxing ring. After narrowly avoiding jail time during his latest probation violation hearing, the WBA lightweight champion is confronted with an even greater challenge, a lawsuit that could jeopardize his entire career. Lamont Roach's team has officially taken the controversial majority draw decision to court, claiming that Davis's own words in the ring serve as evidence that the fight was rigged.
Lamont Roach, his coach, or his manager, or whoever it is, his trainer, somebody filed a lawsuit, right?
His lawyer filed a lawsuit.
Yeah.
During the closing moment of the fight, as Roach continued to give Tank a hard time, Davis uttered words that have now ignited a firestorm of controversy. He told Roach, "You ain't going to win. They ain't going to give it to you." At the time, many dismissed it as just another mind game from Tank. But now Roach's legal team is seizing on those very words as the cornerstone of their lawsuit, claiming they amount to an open admission of corruption. Their argument is straightforward. If Tank already knew the outcome before the scorecards were read, something was clearly amiss. Roach's team maintains that the fight was supposed to be fair, but instead, they believe it was manipulated behind the scenes. The lawsuit isn't just about overturning the controversial decision. It's about exposing what they describe as a blatant robbery within the sport of boxing. If the court rules in their favor, Tank Davis might find himself banned from stepping into the ring for the next 28 months.
Is being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, that he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner. I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I think
that's 2 years and 4 months of force and activity, time that could completely change Tank Davis's career. At 30 years old, losing that much time would put him in a tough spot. The sport moves fast, and while he's tied up fighting legal battles, younger fighters will be stepping into the spotlight. This legal storm couldn't have come at a worse time for Tank. He's already burdened with a long history of legal issues, and his most recent probation violation has only made matters worse. Tank's decision to leave Florida without permission, despite being given multiple chances, led the judge to question whether he truly respects the law. During the hearing, the judge made it clear that she had been lenient with him in the past, even granting him special permission to attend the 2024 Paris Olympics to support Team USA Boxing. Yet, Tank still chose to break the rules and travel without approval. The probation agents were frustrated, admitting that it was challenging to get in touch with him, forcing them to go through his team just to reach him. The state pushed for jail time, with one attorney recommending a $25,000 fine on top of it. However, the judge ultimately decided against sending him back to jail, extending his probation by another 18 months and imposing a $10,000 fine. But that wasn't the real punishment. The real threat now is what this lawsuit could do to his career. What makes the situation even worse is that Tank no longer has his most trusted advisor by his side. Calvin Ford, the veteran trainer who guided Tank to superstardom, is no longer part of his team and is now speaking out about what's going wrong. Ford has seen it all. He was there when Tank faced legal troubles before, but still managed to stay focused on his career. In Ford's opinion, the difference back then was Floyd Mayweather. Tank is a fighter. That's what he does best. He should stick to that, Ford said when asked about the current situation. Boxing politics are different. It takes experience. That's how Floyd helped Tank become great, even in the middle of legal trouble back then.
When I ain't had no pops, Calvin was the person that you feel me, stepped in them shoes. So no matter if he's not my coach, anything like that, he's always gonna be in my life.
Ford's comments weren't just advice. They were a reminder. He highlighted how Tank, under Mayweather's guidance, had navigated legal issues without derailing his career. Floyd, with his experience, connections, and knowledge, knew how to handle boxing's toughest business and legal challenges. With Floyd in his corner, Tank stayed on track despite obstacles. Now, without that guidance, Tank is struggling to maintain his career as legal battles mount, showing the impact of Floyd's mentorship on his trajectory.
Another thing I want to touch on is the Floyd situation. Floyd is Floyd. That's like I say, Tank is Tank, man. But at the end of the day, the man
is chasing greatness. And you should be supporting that. I always tell you that. You should be supporting that, you know. It's a rocky road that we said what's going on. Just pay attention.
Now, Tank has tried to do things his own way, and Ford believes that's the biggest mistake. The legal system doesn't care how many knockouts he has, and the courts aren't impressed by how many belts he holds. Without the right people guiding him, his career could unravel before he even gets a chance to fight again. According to Ford, maybe Tank deserves it for letting go of the team that brought him to greatness. In Ford's eyes, Tank's decision to distance himself from the guidance that once kept him on top might just be the downfall of his career.
Oh, Calvin, he been with me since I was 7. I used to sleep in Coach Calvin's house. I used to sleep at his job when he was working at a seafood restaurant in Baltimore.
The problem Tank is facing isn't just about this one lawsuit. It's about his entire reputation in boxing. If the court finds any evidence that the Roach fight was manipulated, it won't just result in a suspension. It could turn him into an outcast within the sport. Boxing has always had its share of controversies, but once a fighter gets labeled as part of a corruption scandal, it's nearly impossible to bounce back. Sponsors start pulling out. Networks hesitate to air their fights, and sanctioning bodies might even strip them of their belts. For Tank, who has built his career on being a knockout artist and an electrifying presence in the ring, such a blow would be catastrophic. It's not just about losing a fight. It's about losing his place in the sport he's dominated for years.
Coach Calvin was in his corner. He said, we'll see.
Right, because it's nobody's business, but, you know, he didn't mean anything by that, you know.
Facts. There you go.
They forever family.
The Roach fight was already one of Tank's worst performances, and now, with this lawsuit looming, people are scrutinizing it more than ever. Did Tank really struggle that night? Or was there something else at play? Was the fight truly close? Or was the outcome predetermined before the opening bell even rang? These are the questions that boxing fans, analysts, and even fellow fighters are asking. And with Calvin Ford no longer his corner, Tank is missing that steady, experienced voice reminding him to stay focused and grounded. Without Ford's guidance, Tank is left to navigate the storm on his own, something that could prove to be his biggest challenge yet.
The first one in the gym, the last one out the gym. Tank used to sit on the ring like this and watch me train him.
How old is he at this point?
He was like 7, 8.
Okay.
A lot of stuff that I was giving my son was giving it to Tank. So it was a perfect fit. Tank was like the family.
If Tank doesn't get ahead of the situation, things could spiral even further out of control. The court's ruling on this lawsuit will be the deciding factor. If he's found guilty of any wrongdoing, his 28-month suspension could turn into something much longer. Ford's message was clear. Tank needs to get back to being a fighter. He has to stop trying to control the business side of boxing without the right people behind him. Instead, he needs to focus on staying out of trouble, avoiding further legal issues, and most importantly, proving that he still belongs at the top of the sport. Right now, boxing is moving on without him, and if Tank doesn't make the right move soon, he risks being left behind for good. For years, Calvin Ford and Gervonta Davis were inseparable. Their bond went far beyond boxing. Ford had been there from the very beginning, shaping Davis into the star he is today. Fans never imagined seeing Tank step into a major fight without him by his side. But then March 1st happened. For the first time, Davis entered the ring without Ford in his corner, and the result was his first ever non-victory, a majority draw against Roach. Some called it a robbery, while others saw it as karma for breaking up a winning team. The reasons behind their split remain unclear. Ford himself downplayed it, saying he just took a step back. But in a recent interview, his words painted a different picture, one that hinted at deeper issues between the fighter and the mentor who once guided him to greatness.
Man, I'm not. Honestly, I thought I should have won without that being counted a knockdown. Look, I ain't the ref. I ain't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he had to wipe sweat out his eye, he had to wipe sweat out his eye. But the rules do state, if he voluntarily take a knee, then that's an automatic 8 count.
He knows I spend time with my amateurs, Ford said. You know me. Both of y'all know me very well. I spend time with my amateurs all the time. That's my piece. On the surface, it sounds like Ford just wanted to dedicate more time to his younger fighters. But that explanation doesn't sit right with many. Ford had always managed to juggle his work with amateurs while still making time for Tank, even during the most crucial moments of his career. So why would he suddenly step back from his biggest fighter, right before one of the most controversial fights of Tank's career? The timing raises questions, leaving fans and analysts wondering if there's more to the story than what Ford is letting on.